Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I thought I would actually go through some of the lore of the game. Um, I thought that it'd be kind of interesting to hear about the Castaway Journals and what they actually say. Maybe learn a little more about the story behind the game and the questions it holds. So I took it upon myself. I read all the Castaway Journals and I wrote up kind of what they say. So it's my paraphrasing of them. So let's get started. Maybe we'll talk about it afterwards. One day long ago, a man from the outer world is looking over maps of an island territory and notices something suspicious, a spot where nothing is labeled. He knows that this must be an error, and it nags at him enough to assemble a ship and set sail to discover what is truly there. Upon his arrival, the area is shrouded in fog. Suddenly, he gets attacked. But by what? He isn't sure what is attacking him and his ship. But his ship has sustained heavy damage, and he makes for the island, leaving him stranded. He wakes up on shore, only to find a tablet buried in the sand. Unsure of what it is, he takes the tablet and sets off exploring, only to find strange creatures that he's never seen before. He starts recording them in his tablet. Next to a group of these creatures, on the ground, he spots a round object. After picking it up and examining it, he realizes that it is of no use to him and tosses it aside. Suddenly, the creature it landed by gets swept into the sphere. He takes the sphere, curious, and continues, only to find symbols carved across ancient ruins. He takes his time, deciphering the symbols, and he learns how to make the spheres and gives Pals and Paldium their names due to the ability to help him. He begins catching several Pals and uses them to build a base. He starts to think that the Pals must have built the ruins and that there must be a reason that they were destroyed. Over time, he hypothesizes that this giant tree that is in the distance must have some sort of magic power that halts the outside world from seeing this place. On one of his journeys around the island, he spots one pal riding another and wonders if he can do the same. He gets to making a makeshift saddle, only to find that some pals are happy to carry him around with them. He continues his adventures and spots a tower in the distance. As he approaches, he finally finds another human, only to have a gun pointed in his face, and he flees. He comes back to the tower later to investigate, but gets shot at. His pals that are with him immediately spring into action and defend him. They end up killing the assailant. Is he a murderer now? Is there anything he could have done to prevent this? He returns to the tower once again, only to find more fighting, and realizes that there are multiple groups of people on this island, driven against each other. He believes that they must be from the ancient society that once lived here. Back at camp, he ponders what he has seen, but decides that he must return to the tower. This time, he was able to sneak to the door and enter. Here he finds a massive monster guarding the inside. He flees, but not by the way he came. He finds an odd relic at the top of the tower, and upon touching it, gets teleported back to an area that he is familiar. What was that? How could he possibly be back where he started? He starts assuming that this power of teleportation must have been what drove the ancient civilization to ruin. Now starving and tired of eating only berries, he witnesses a pal eat the carcass of another pal. The thought of eating a pal is tough to drive from his mind. After considering, he slaughters one of his pals and cries because it's so delicious. The following day, he finds a cave and wonders if pals were once used to dig these openings from the ground. He finds inscriptions with lessons on how to build pal boxes. After building one, he notices that objects that he needs from his storage start appearing before him as he needs them, and wonders if the same teleportation power he experienced in the tower is present in the pal boxes due to Paldium. He starts making weapons and hands them out to his pals. Some, he noticed, were particularly good with carrying firearms. Well, after a month, he is walking through the woods at night and finds that he is surrounded by pals. These pals attack him and he is severely injured. The last entry he writes is him wondering if the giant cement statues on the island were once worshipped by both humans and pals alike. So that is the Castaway Journal entries, summarized by myself. I thought that there was a lot of interesting stuff to them. It kind of shows us that there is an outside world. It shows us that pals are pretty much, they're special to the island. I thought that the presence of the teleportation and it being an oddity to this man was kind of interesting. And the fact that they explain why your pal box transfers items to you as you build, I thought was a really neat catch that they put in there. I thought that was really creative of them. I thought that, I mentioned in my review that there's fog in the distance, and I didn't realize that they actually explained that fog as kind of a barrier from the outside world so that no one can see inside of it. And, there's some sort of power that he hypothesizes the tree having. I thought it was all pretty interesting, and I thought it kind of explained a lot of what's going on the island, and that there was multiple factions of people, which explains why there's factions that fight you, and it's actually explained later in the diaries, which I'll get to on a later video. But I never realized that they're wearing different clothing because they're actually against each other. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I thought it was a really cool story. I will say it, the journals do explain a little farther, but it really gives you insights to the leaders, how they became leaders, and kind of what kind of people they are and how they got there. So I hope you guys joined me on that video. It was nice having you all here. I'll see you on the next one.